I did it wrong.
Here's the pitch. Line drive, there it is! Into left field! Hit number 3,000! A run is scored! Musial ran first, on his way to second with a double! Holy cow!
Hank Gibson is one strike away from the no-hitter. He takes off his cap. He mops his brow. He looks in and gets the sign. He starts the windup. Here's the pitch, and it's a strike called! A no-hitter for Gibson! Smith corks one into right down the line. It may go! Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! It's a home run, and the Cardinals have won the game by the score of 3-2 on a home run by the Wizards.
Breaking ball, hit off the pitcher, to the third baseman, down play, base hit, 3,000 for a home run.
Braves hits it in the air to center. We will see you tomorrow night.
Shooter from the belt to the plate, a swing and a miss, and that's the winner. That's the winner. A World Series winner for the Cardinals.
Left center, Bader, diving catch. Oh, what a play! Carpenter with a drive into left center, at the wall, gone! It's gone! Three-run homer, Carpenter! DeYoung with a drive into deep left, at the track, at the wall, gone! Cardinals have the lead. The 2-2. Fowler swings and sends a ball into the right field corner. Hayward up and over the fence. Hayward got a glove on it. But Dexter Fowler has just walked it on. Michaelis with a drive. Deep left field. First career hit. Gone! A home run. He does it in style. A two-run shot for his first major league hit. Julio to the drive. Into center. It's at the wall. Look it up. A remarkable comeback for the Cardinals. Here's a 1-2 pitch. And a strikeout. Ponce de Leon, his first strikeout in the major leagues. There he goes, and Molina from his knees. Oh, my! Wow!
Hi, I'm Miles Michaelis,
This is Marshall Falk,
and you're listening
and you're listening
to The Usual Suspects.
to The Usual Suspects.
Well, what's up, guys? I'm Brad,
And I'm Aaron.
and you're listening to The Usual Suspects, like the guy said. Hey, so, big week. Did you do anything fun?
Well, I found that I need to hit the batting cages again
Okay.
because apparently the ball's moving just a little bit too slow.
Yeah,
And
you are
I'm
a
just
little bit out
pulling it
front.
so aggressively. So it was really funny. I don't remember who I mentioned it to, but I was like, man, if I foul out again, I'm just gonna hit lefty. But then I at least started hitting it fair. I was
Yeah.
like, gosh dang it! I wish I would have fouled out. I would have gone up there and just hit lefty. I would have been like, screw it. I probably would have at least been able to poke one somewhere. But yeah, so
Hey, guys, if you are watching, couple things. One, I'd like for y'all to follow us on the socials. And then two, in the comments, tell us where you're watching from. We like to know that. It's kind of cool to see the reach and whatnot. But you can follow me on Twitter, @RangeBrad. You can follow Aaron on Twitter.
at Aaron MSTL.
And then if you want to follow the show podcast on Twitter, it's @mutual_suspects. We're also on Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube, you can watch us on Facebook, facebook.com/mutualsuspects. And if you're watching on Facebook, we're on YouTube as well. You can watch us there. Just go on YouTube and search Mutual Suspects. Make sure you search Mutual Suspects and not Musical Suspects. Don't go with any of the autofills. Just type the whole thing out, and we'll be the top hit. You'll be able to find us pretty easy there. So if you guys would do that, and then if you would like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, that would be awesome. So that being said, quiet group tonight. So Thursday, we found out the Cardinals can play compelling baseball, exciting baseball. They can make a game fun to watch. And they can go from what is happening to all right. So Aaron and I were at the game on Thursday, and that was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then
it was nice to get back, but like, and I know we talked about it while we were there. The atmosphere definitely felt different.
It really did. It was subdued, I think, is the way I would describe it.
Yeah, a lot of factors in play there, but man, it just like it definitely felt different. Like, it was cool to be back for sure, but like it felt like something was missing almost.
Yeah. Well, they said the paid attendance was 27,008 something.
That seems high.
And maybe that's how many people bought tickets, but I don't believe there's no way there were that many people there. So if like you're one of those people and you're worried about COVID or something like that, show up to a game. There's plenty of room to social distance. I mean, there were sections on the third base side and the top that were just empty.
There's about 4 or 5 sections back to back that were like completely empty.
So
or maybe like one group. Like you'll be fine.
Yeah, you can definitely social distance, and then when you get up high like that, there will be a nice breeze blowing any of the stuff away from your face. But anyway, the game in itself turned out to be fun because the Cardinals did come back and win, and they did it kind of cool in a cool way, right? It wasn't just, like they scored 2 and then held them and all that other stuff. They scored 1, and that one run was not going to be enough, and I think everybody that was there knew that wasn't going to be enough. But fortunately, O'Neill got to go back-to-back with the boys.
At one point when that happened, I looked at Brad and I was just like, that might be the only run they score against Woodruff.
Yeah.
And to play devil's advocate, he shut him down for the next few innings after that, making me like, I felt like, oh man, like I'm going to be right. This is going to suck. And then Lester had kind of really just that one bad inning. Like, he was giving up contact most of the night, but he had that inning where he gave up 4 runs. And I was like, man, is this going to be another one of those games where, like, oh, they score early, but then it's like, it's just not enough. Right. And then Baronial showed up. And Newt showed up. Yeah.
Watching Lars Nootbaar go back-to-back with Tyler O'Neill was pretty cool. And Tyler O'Neill hit the crap out of that ball.
It was 2 very impressive home runs for 2 very different reasons.
Yes.
Because, O'Neill absolutely crushed this ball. Getting to see the replay of it and, like, watching the reaction is one thing. It's just like, oh, man, he really hit that ball far. Being there and just seeing it off the bat and just having us all go, 450 feet.
So
absolute blast.
The cool thing about that is there's been 2 times that I've been at a game where when the ball left the bat, I had that reaction, right? And the first time was when Matt Holliday hit that absolute bomb, the longest home run at Busch Stadium. I don't know if it's still the longest one, but at the time it was the longest one. And I watched that one, and that one got like an initial reaction out of me. And then the second time that that happened was O'Neill's bomb. When he hit that ball, it was just like, whoa. And when he hit that ball and the other one, we were sitting in almost the exact same spot for both of those home runs. So I had a really cool angle on it. So we were sitting down the right field line. We were in fair territory, kind of up underneath that, what is it, like the Budweiser porch or something?
Yeah. So it wasn't like the bleachers. It was actual seating, but we were kind of in that second section. It's weird because we were on like the first level, but we were like the farther one back.
Yeah,
so
when you walk out of the tunnel, you go up instead of down.
Yeah.
And so anyway, get to seeing both of those home runs. And then Lars Nootbaar's home run was hit really hard as well, and it was just a line drive. And I'm going to be honest.
That ball, that one was impressive because it never felt like it got that high off the ground. Yeah. It was just an absolute rocket.
And one of the things that I kind of was suspecting before, but I will confirm it now, is I think that Lars Nootbaar will be a important piece of this team going forward. Like if the Cardinals need a 4th outfielder, he's it. Unless they can go out and get some sort of amazing bat in the offseason that's going to take a starting role from one of those 3 guys, and the only guy that I could see possibly losing a starting position would be Harrison Bader, and I don't know who you would get that would be, who the guy is, like who they would spend money on, or what free agent they would spend money on that would not actually knock Harrison Bader out of that starting. Because it's going to take a AAA.
I think
player.
they're upgrades in the infield, not the outfield.
I agree. I think if they're going to upgrade anywhere, it's going to be on the infield. So, anyway, so like I said, Lars Nootbaar will be an important part of this team. Lars Nootbaar will be to this team what Edmundo Sosa is to this team right now. And I know that like a lot of people are like, start Edmundo Sosa and blah, blah, blah. Edmundo Sosa is a great guy to have coming off the bench. He is a very important ball player, but he is not a starter now. The argument can be made with the way that DeYoung's hitting that maybe Sosa should get some more starts or whatever.
But here's the thing, though. He has. DeYoung has gotten a lot more off days over the last month.
Yeah.
Than in years. Like, look at 2 years ago, he played like 158, 159 games. Like,
well, he played 160 the 1 year. He only got two.
Yeah, I mean that's the one I'm referencing. But basically, like, he was playing like every single day.
Yeah.
And this year, he came back from injury. Had a pretty decent July, but throughout most of July, or not most of, but like the last part of July, early August, he's probably starting maybe 7 out of 10, it seems like.
Right.
He's not getting every single start. Like, he's getting his off days. It was like maybe last week or the week before last, he had 2 off days in a row where Sosa started. Sosa started the last couple, I think, because DeYoung, he just hasn't been able to hit. Like, I've gone on record on here, Twitter, everywhere else you want to find me. Like, I really like DeYoung. I think he has the ability to be a really solid player. But for the love of God, he's not doing it. So, I'm kind of at that spot right now where I'm like, I'm kind of over it. Like, it is what it is. Like, I expected more. I think everybody else did. Everyone wants to talk about how they signed him to an extension too early. Maybe so. It's not like they're paying him $15-20 million a year. He's not making a whole lot of money. If you want to move on from him, you can, and you're really not going to have to give up a ton.
Right.
You may not get a ton back either, though. Unless there's another team that has kind of my way of thinking. It's like, oh my gosh, he could be like really solid, and they're willing to give up something for him.
And I kind of,
because at the end of the day, he's a fairly decent defensive shortstop, has some pop, and he's got fairly cheap control.
Well, yeah, and I mean even with the time that he's missed, he's up there in the top on the team in home runs. I'm trying to look at what that is right now.
Yeah, I mean that's the problem is right now. Like I mentioned before, like him and Sosa, like if they could just combine their abilities, they'd have a really solid shortstop.
Right.
Because you get Sosa, who can slap a lot of singles. He's got some good speed. And then you've got DeYoung, who can hit home runs. Both of them are fairly solid defensively. But like they're polar opposite players as far as hitting goes. So when you look at their stats, like if you look at their OPS, they're almost identical.
Yeah.
And the difference being is that Sosa's hitting singles, whereas DeYoung is hitting home runs occasionally, and that's giving him a nice little OPS boost for a few days until he levels back off.
Which is really interesting, and that's why I don't think that the OPS and all that stuff can be the end-all and be-all of deciding who your hitter is, because, I mean, you've got two guys that are essentially real close in OPS, but one of them is absent at the plate except for the times when he hits home runs, and the other one is always doing something, just not a lot of it, So DeYoung is 4th on the team with 16 home runs. So you look at the numbers that he's putting up. You talk about batting average.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at his home run rate, he's still kind of on pace for like a 30 home run year. But because he's missed time, he's not going to reach that, obviously, just due to how counting stats work. I mean, he's still on pace for like a 30 to 35 homer type of power.
Yeah, and to put that in perspective, he's only 3 home runs behind Paul Goldschmidt for 3rd on the team. As bad as he's been at the plate, he's still hitting dingers, and he's 4 ahead of Dylan Carlson. So that's it's kind of looking at that that's not ideal.
The other thing though with DeYoung that's been not great is that if you look in his years prior, while he's hit home runs, what else? The other thing that he's been able to do is hit doubles, whereas
Right.
this year he is not.
No.
Like the amount of doubles that he has not hit is tremendous. Like you can look in years prior, like his full seasons he was averaging kind of like 25 doubles, and this year he's on pace for like 12. So obviously that's not going to do much for your OPS because you're not building up your slugging percentage. So like for him right now, it's like he's either striking out, hitting a single, or hitting a home run. Like he's not really doing anything else. Whereas with Sosa, he's not really hitting home runs. He's getting a ton of singles. I don't know what he's done as far as other extra base hits. Like he's got the speed to where if he hits one in the gap, he's going to get a double and possibly leg one out into a triple. But I don't think he's really done a whole lot in the extra base department either. But if you look at batting average, I think Sosa's hitting like, 255, 260, and then you got DeYoung hitting 200. Whereas if you put those two guys together, you've probably got like a 750 OPS guy. Like that you can work with. That's a really, that's an above average shortstop as far as hitting goes.
Yeah.
But right now you've got two guys that are doing opposite things.
Yeah. Well, and you need somebody that can be like, that's the problem. This is the problem with the Cardinals, right? Whenever they do well in bunches. And then when they don't do well, they don't do well in bunches. The team's not consistent. And that consistency
The only thing they're consistently good at is being mediocre.
Yeah. Well, that's what you get with an inconsistent team, right? Mm-hmm. So they go on a little bit like, for example, like what we just talked about. They swept the Pirates and the Royals, and then lost 2 of 3 to the Brewers, and then lost 2 of 3 to the Pirates. They're hot, and then they're cold, and they're about 50-50 on that. And so what you get is you get a team that's what, 1 game, 2 games over 500.
I think they're 62 and 60.
Yeah. So, 2 games over 500, you don't have much, right? And what they need is because there's a lot of those games and those cold streaks that they're losing that are like 2-0, 1-0.
Yeah, I mean both games against the Brewers that they lost, they should have had more opportunities to win. Like game 1, they lost 2-0.
Right.
When you've got your starter going out there and only giving up 2 runs, you're like, okay, we're in this.
Yeah.
And then you get blanked by Corbin Burns. And then the night after that, they just decided to do that thing that they do where they blow it.
Yeah.
That game was one of the most frustrating games I've ever seen in my life.
They really should have
taken. It didn't shock me at all that happened.
Right. And so like one of the things that like you look at this team and you say, what's the signature win? What's their signature win?
They don't have one.
Right. But if I said, do they have any signature losses?
I could chalk up 50 of them.
And they're signature losses, that blowing it in the 9th whenever it shouldn't be blown, right? The Brewers
game
lost
against the Cubs comes to mind. You have like a 6-run lead.
Yeah.
It's like that's one of the worst. Like, not even talking about just this year. That's like one of the worst losses I've ever seen.
Right.
Like,
and they did it one other time.
Do you actually do that?
They did it one other time, and was it the Royals? Because I know that
remember.
They did it one other time in between the Cubs and the Brewers, and it's just at the end of the day, it gets really frustrating. So the team has a lot that they need to figure out as far as trying to get consistent, and that, I mean, they haven't been consistent for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
So
gosh, what was that game the other day when they? Yeah, because I remember tweeting about this. Because the game that they won against the Brewers that we actually went to, they're facing Brandon Woodruff, who came into that game with a 2.18 ERA. He's been absolutely lights out for the Brewers. Mm-hmm. And we tagged him for 6 runs over 5 innings. And then, what was it, the next day against the Pirates, they're facing Mitch Keller, who came into that game with, a 7 ERA.
And they got blanked.
And we got blanked through 5. I'm like, this team annoys me so much because what are we doing? You just put up 6 runs against one of the best pitchers in the National League. He's arguably going to get Cy Young votes. He's been that good.
Yeah.
And then you go up against arguably one of the worst pitchers in the National League, and you're like, we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, they looked bad against that. What's his name?
Makes no sense.
Bruegel or whatever. Bruegel, the guy they faced Sunday.
Oh, yeah. Stephen Brule, I think is his,
I say
know.
soft
Yeah,
tossing.
Brault. Stephen Brault.
Brault.
Yeah.
Soft tossing lefty, right? And the no name guy. Cardinals always struggle with guys like that.
Well, I mean, he's got like a 2 ERA this year, so at least
but
this
he's
year,
only
he's
he
been
was
good.
like 0-2.
Well, I mean, that's just the Pirates sucking and not giving him run support.
So I don't know how many starts he's had. Right? That's what.
I don't know. I don't know how many innings he's thrown,
Yeah.
but I mean, for his time in the big leagues, he had a 2 ERA. So it's like, okay, that's good at least. It's better than Mitch Keller with his 6.8.
Right, he has a track record of not being good, and they still can capitalize.
I think that was the game where they had like no runs on 10 hits.
10 hits is what it was. Yeah.
And Pirates went 4 runs on 4 hits. I'm like, I hate you guys. Like, you gotta stop doing it. Like, you got to be better than that. Like, I hate it so much. Like, I don't understand it. Like, especially when one of their biggest problems has been, the pitchers have been hurt. And now you've got guys coming back and dealing for you. And then your offense decides, we don't, sorry, Dad, we can't, like, we're not coming to work today. Like, what are we doing?
Well, and then there was a situation in the second game against the Pirates where they had bases loaded and nobody out. And
Shocker.
O'Neill flies out, sac fly, gets a run across. Okay, productive out. We'll take a productive out. And then the next 2 batters struck out, and that was it. And they fell short. They couldn't score enough runs to make the comeback.
Yeah, like,
that
well,
sort
I
of
remember watching part of that game, and I think like they took the lead in kind of like the middle of the game. They went up like 3-2 or something.
Yeah, it was 3-2, and then
And then I'm like, okay, cool. Like, they've got a lead. Hopefully they can hold on. But then when I saw the game later and it was 5-4, I'm like, why doesn't that surprise me? They're playing one of the worst teams in Major League Baseball, and I'm not surprised that they just lost this game.
So, I said that they had a real opportunity where they could go like 10-2, 11-1 in that 12-game stretch, where you sweep the Pirates, sweep the Royals, take 2 of 3 from the Brewers, and then sweep the Pirates again, and they didn't even come close. I mean 8-4 is good.
I mean,
but it's not good enough.
That's one of the things that we've talked about. Like, they went 8-4 over that 12-game stretch, and yet, like, we lost ground. Like, it felt like we just wasted such a huge opportunity. We're facing, for the most part, really bad teams, and then, like, all we have to do is handle the Brewers at home.
Right.
Which I don't know what their issue is with playing at home, but they have been pretty atrocious at home lately.
Yeah.
Like, come on, guys. Like, you wonder why no one's coming to these games? You want to know why there's only 25 or 27,000 people when there's usually like 35 plus? It's because you guys aren't winning. Like, you guys are doing this really cool thing where you just don't show up for 4 or 5 games in a row. Like, the game against the Brewers was like the only game in that homestand where they kind of did something. And unfortunately, they did most of it in like 1 inning.
Yeah. I'm looking, because that kind of, like, you were talking about that, and I don't know if I can find it. But they did a post-game interview with Jack Flaherty after his first start back.
Oh, yeah.
And
well, yeah, you guys saw how many people were here.
Yeah, you saw the crowd. And I'm trying to find the audio or the video so you guys can see it, and I don't think it's up. But it just frustrates me that, nobody's going to watch, and the reason nobody's going to watch is because it's not compelling baseball.
Like, we were, in a weird way, we were lucky because most of the time, those games don't happen. Like, we got to watch the one compelling game in that homestand. Like, most of those other games were kind of like,
yeah.
The Wainwright game was good, but at least this year, it's one of the only positives that I can really mention. That Wainwright's been absolutely spectacular.
Well, let's see. Here's
another one of my semi-viral Cardinals tweets is the Cardinals are wasting an absolutely terrific Adam Wainwright. Like this is about as vintage as of Adam Wainwright as you're going to get, and this is the team that this is the year where they just aren't like, sorry, we're just not good enough.
Yeah,
it's astounding.
So this is the tweet here from Jeff Jones.
Jeff Jones.
Yeah, he was quoting him. I can't find the audio. The audio shows a tone to it more than that does, but it says, it was good to pitch for this team. You're at the game. You see how full it is. And it was not, he wasn't saying that in a happy way. He was saying that there was a tone to it. And
whether he was calling out the fans or whether he was calling out the front office, there was some more intent behind those words.
Yeah.
Can't really say I blame
so it says the thing is we're still 7th in average attendance, and this is a Major League Baseball issue. I don't think it is. I think there's something important.
I mean, here's the thing, though. You can say, oh, we're still 7th. But, like, look at years prior. We were, like, 3rd. The only reason we weren't higher is because Busch Stadium actually can't hold more people.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a Major League Baseball issue. This team brings in fans. This team has brought in fans for the better part of the last decade, if not farther back than that.
Yeah.
This team has no problem drawing a crowd. The reason why they're not partially COVID related, sure, all teams are experiencing that. Yeah. You don't drop from the top 3 to 7 without there being another issue. And that issue being this team isn't good enough.
Right. Well, that's just it, too. Like, the team's not compelling. So, one, people that aren't worried about COVID and want to see good baseball aren't going to pay money to go watch the Cardinals. And then, two, you're not going to get those people who are on the fence about COVID to come out and watch a baseball game with a bad team, with a mediocre team. You're just not going to do it. And so that's the thing. So regardless of what exactly you think the reason is, and like you said, it's a combination of reasons, you cannot deny that the average play, the disappointment of this team isn't playing a role in it. Because they're drawing now what they did at the beginning when the hopes were high for this team, but the attendance levels were restricted.
Yeah, like you were only allowed to have like 65% capacity.
Yeah.
And they were at least bringing this amount in. But now it's like full capacity. You don't even have to wear masks if you're not indoors. Like, right. And yet.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, now, too, you've got to look at this. So if you're the Cardinals, you've got to look at this and say, okay, well, what do we do? Do we do anything? If I'm giving advice to the ownership, if I'm giving advice to the front office, I'm telling you, yes, you have to do something. Because what 100%. You've been doing, what you're doing, what you've done up to this point has been a slow walk into obscurity. I mean, whenever Tony La Russa left, he left a good team to Mike Matheny, and then the team has gotten worse almost every year afterwards. Worse and worse and worse and worse. And now people are like, well, they made the playoffs. They've brought in
guys like Goldschmidt. They've brought in guys like Arenado while not really addressing anything else. So it's like, yeah, you make one spot better while arguably there's other positions are getting worse or at least not like meeting their expectations. So after a while, like it's not going to even out. Like the things that are going wrong are still going to outweigh the one good thing you did last offseason.
Right. Right. And I remember saying this, this was before the Arenado trade. I remember saying this team is more than one Nolan Arenado away from being a dynamite team.
I joked about that on Twitter the other day. I was like, on the bright side, they're only like 6 moves away from being competitive.
They're 6 moves away, but they don't have to be like the Nolan Arenado type moves. Yeah, wouldn't it be cool to see, have a whole team full of a Nolan Arenado or Paul Goldschmidt caliber player, but you don't.
Man, woun't if only they had the resources to make a trade for Max Scherzer and Trey Turner.
That
I don't even. To be fair,
listen,
I don't even know if that trade would have done anything.
That team, if they would have brought in Trey Turner and Max Scherzer, this team would be in at least a wild card position right now.
I don't even know if they're in a wild card spot. I think they're closer. But I'd argue they may have, especially in this last 12 games, instead of going 8-4, maybe.
You say that, but look at the moves.
I still think they lose. I still think they find ways to lose a couple games.
You say that, but then you've got to look at teams like Atlanta. And Atlanta was under 500, but they believed that they could make the playoffs, which Atlanta.
But they made those moves early. They made those moves when it made sense.
They made those moves at the deadline.
I'm pretty sure they got Peterson well before.
They got Peterson like a week or so before.
But they didn't go out and just wait until the last second like the Cardinals did. Cardinals waited until the phones literally were done ringing, and they're like, okay, I guess we should probably do something.
Yeah.
And then they got Happ and Lester, who thankfully, at least for Happ, has actually been pretty solid. Lester,
well, you know what though? If you look at Lester and Happ, they're pitching better than Gant or was it Ponce was in there for a while?
Ponce, Oviedo.
Yeah.
The problem is they've put everyone through the ringer because God forbid anyone stays healthy.
Both of those guys ended up being an upgrade from what they had, but they weren't that big of an upgrade, you know.
Yeah, you traded your number 5 starter for a 4.5.
It's
all right, sure.
But he's a better 4.5, right? But the thing about it is like you said, they were the worst team in baseball for an entire month. They dug a huge hole. And that what they needed was to make trades that would make them the best team in baseball for an entire month to make up for that. Yeah. And they didn't do that. I would say that they
didn't even make moves to be the best team in the division.
No.
For a month and a half. They're still sitting at just okay.
Yeah, I think talent-wise, they're about the same as the Reds. And what has hurt them...
Honestly, it doesn't surprise me at all that the Reds are outplaying the Cardinals. I thought it would be for different reasons. I thought they had a much better pitching staff overall, but it's really been the offense that's carried that team. But it does not surprise me in the slightest that team is better than us.
And the thing is they've dug themselves a hole that they won't be able to catch the Reds either. You know, they're the Reds are 7.5 out, so that would put them 3.5 in front of the Cardinals. I guess if they make the postseason,
the Reds. The last I checked, the Reds were tied for the last wild card with San Diego, unless something has changed. I don't remember. I don't know when exactly I saw that, but
yep, Cincinnati is They're one game ahead of San Diego for the wild card. But San Diego's been...
let's talk about San Diego. My gosh, they have fallen off the rails.
Now, that's something else, too, that's crazy, because they went out and they spent a bunch of money on guys.
Yeah. They have... I would argue that their injuries are more significant than some of the Cardinals were, though. Mm-hmm. We don't have a Fernando Tatis Jr. to go down.
They didn't have him for a while, too.
Yeah, we don't have that much of a significant move. Maybe you could consider Jack Flaherty that kind of move.
Yeah.
For him being down. But Fernando Tatis Jr. can affect every single game.
Right, exactly. Jack Flaherty only affects every 5th game.
Yeah.
Which is nice to have him around, but
you know what I was just thinking about the other day? So we were driving to St. Louis yesterday. Yes, yesterday. Jessica's family was in town, or some of her family was in town. It was actually her nephew, and I guess technically soon to be my nephew's birthday. He was turning 4 years old. Turned 4 on Saturday. They were going to go out to the zoo on Sunday. And as we were driving in, I saw a sign on the side of the road. I couldn't remember what it was for, but I saw Carlos Martinez on there. And I went, oh, yeah, technically Carlos Martinez is still a Cardinal.
Yeah.
I kind of forgot that that's a thing right now. And there were times this year where he looked really good. And then there were other times where he looked terrible.
Right.
And it sucks that that's going to be the last thing that we remember for him as a Cardinal, is missing the majority of this season due to injuries and him being, for the most part, a lackluster Cardinal. It's crazy to me. gosh, that annoys me so much. I think that honestly, I think they misused Gant quite a bit. So it kind of sucks that they got rid of him because I feel like they, I don't know. I mean, Gant misused himself, for crying out loud. Stop walking, fools. But it is what it is.
So
Ooh,
Carlos
salary.
Yeah, this is Carlos Martinez.
Yeah, they're not bringing him back.
So what is the red? Club option?
What do you mean? I can't really see it.
So you've got, these are in black, and I'm assuming that these are club options the last 2 years.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. But it's a $500,000 buyout, so they'd have to pay him $500,000 to go away.
Well, it's either they pay him $500,000 to go away, or they pay him what? Was it like 7.5 or something?
17 million.
17 million. Yeah, or pay him 17 million to potentially recreate what he did this year. I'll give you the $500,000.
Yeah. So
Carlos
and
that's
Martinez
what
is done.
Sucks because when they signed him to that extension, I was like, yeah, you're gonna have a solid number 2 to 3 starter going forward, and he has just not lived up to that hype. I don't even know if I trust this insider information. A guy that I used to work with at Play It Again said he knew somebody that knew Carlos, and basically said that Carlos is only in the big leagues to make money for his family. He doesn't want to play baseball. He's just good at it, and that's how he makes money. And I'm like, honestly, man, I kind of believe that because every time he goes out, he doesn't look like he's having a good time. And he doesn't but again, I don't know because I don't know the guy. But he doesn't really look like he wants to be there. He looks like he's just there for his paycheck.
Yeah. And he plays like it too.
Because he's got the talent if he really just if he was out there because he loved baseball and wanted to be the best baseball player he could be, I really feel like he has the talent to be a number 2 to 3 starter without much problem. But I just don't see it for him. Yeah, the talent's there. The talent is 100% there.
Yeah.
It's just I don't think the work ethic's there. I don't think the drive is there. And and that's a cancer in your clubhouse. When you've got guys that don't really want to be there. He's not an actor. There's no I guarantee you there's guys in the clubhouse that see him go out there and you're he didn't even want to be here.
Mm-hmm.
As much as Bader's slipped off lately, which that's been great. His August has been as bad as his July was good. Figures he starts coming back to earth because God forbid he just keeps it together for 2 whole months of the season.
But
you know what he has?
It.
He has an energy and a drive.
Yeah.
Which is something that is often overlooked.
Yeah. Well, and that's just it though. I mean, if you look at Bader, so Bader had a great July. On fire, red hot. What do pitchers do? What do other teams do? They look at Harrison Bader, they say, okay, this guy's doing well, here's how we can get him out, and they make adjustments. So then what do you have to do as a hitter? You have to make adjustments. And this is something that I've noticed with the Cardinals as a whole, is they don't make adjustments.
No. They make adjustments 2 weeks later.
Yeah. They do it in game, they don't make adjustments. Week to week, they don't really make adjustments. Hitters go ice cold and they don't try anything new. And even the front office, they needed starting pitching and they didn't do anything until the last day. They're just slow to react. And so I think maybe that plays into this whole big, we have a week of good play and then we have 2 weeks of bad play because they don't figure out what it is that they've changed. Once the video gets out there and they see what they're doing, then they pick up on something. A good team does that.
Tommy Edman said but a couple weeks back, he's oh, we need to work on more of our preparation. I'm what on earth were you doing then?
Yeah, that was in the middle of June. And then he walked it back, if you remember that, because somebody got after him. But here's the thing.
Sure.
Here's the thing. They're
all adults.
That is your coaching staff. That is your coaching staff, right? You can only adjust to what they prepare for you. And if they don't prepare for you, then you're going to have to go in the film room and get it yourself.
Like,
And that's
I thought it was so funny because he just called everyone out like, oh, our preparation isn't the best. Hey, you know how you fix that? Have better preparation.
well, yeah.
You
So that
literally you are a free thinking adult. You have the ability to be like, hey, what we're doing isn't working. We should try something different. You don't have to wait for your coaching staff to tell you to do that. You can just
Well,
go
yeah.
out and do that.
Well, you should,
Like,
but that's
why
what
is
your
it that I
coaching staff
understand
is
this,
there
but they
for.
don't?
That's what your coaching staff is there for. Because sometimes when you're on the inside of the struggle, you don't know what it is you're doing wrong. So it helps to have another set of eyes there. That's exactly the purpose of a hitting coach. I mean, that's exactly the purpose of a pitching coach. If you remember back when Dave Duncan pitched, the man had binders this thick with him out there. And whenever he would go out to a pitcher, he had a plan for that pitcher to attack each hitter. And he had a plan for each pitcher that he was going to use that night to attack each hitter that they might face. He had a game plan. That's a lot of work, but that's your job. And I feel like that is not what Jeff Albert does. I think Jeff Albert is really interested in tweaking your swing and not so much on the analytics of what the pitcher is going to try to do to get you out. And you have to strike that balance. And my thing is this. Unless there's something in a hitter's swing that is absolutely costing them costing them dearly as far as balance or something. Like if you see a hitter's completely on his front foot all the time, he's out of balance. Okay, that's something physical that you need to correct. Other than that, you really have to focus on the pitcher's game plan to get your guys out and how you're going to counter them, you know? Because, I mean, when you get a starter, he's going to be in there for 5-6 innings unless you get him out of the game right away. That means that you don't...
twice.
Yeah. You don't need to prepare as much as you need to do as a pitching coach, and Dave Duncan proved that a pitching coach can do it. You don't need to prepare as much as a hitting coach for that. And if Jeff Albert isn't interested in that, and he really wants to focus on whatever it is that he's doing, be it the analytics, the advanced camera work, all that stuff, fine. Let him focus on that and then hire somebody that is their job. That is the assistant hitting coach's job. Whatever. Delegate that position, but you need somebody doing that. And they don't do that. I mean, I don't know that because I'm not in the dugout, but to watch it from the outside, I don't see how you can say that any major league, there's any preparation going on whenever you have Nolan Arenado, Tyler O'Neill, and Paul Goldschmidt on this team, and you're this far out of first place in your own division.
Yeah, I mean, and that's like, people want to talk about like all the things that aren't going right and all the people who are underperforming. But like, what's even more frustrating is that you've got guys on the other side of that. Like, everyone wants to blame the offense. Nolan Arenado has done his part. Mm-hmm. Dylan Carlson, as a rookie, has, for the most part, done his part. Paul Goldschmidt, for the most part, has done his part. And you know who stepped up? Tyler O'Neill.
Tyler O'Neill has thrown this team on his back.
Part. It's like, yeah, no wonder he has to work out so much. His shoulders are probably sore from carrying this offense. But
there's no way carrying this offense has hurt his shoulders.
Probably not. But like, he probably squats like,
jump
God
on, boys.
Only knows. But like, you've got guys who are producing, and yet you're still struggling this much. And like, we've talked about this before in Schilt and whether or not like he's the right fit as a manager. It is very tough to anybody out there to even begin to justify an argument for him when he continues to bat Yachty fifth. Mm-hmm. Don't care. Like, whether or not you want to look at his average or not, like somebody was talking about, like I was talking to somebody about this earlier and how, like, DeYoung's really been struggling, like maybe needs some more days off. You know what the difference is? I would bat him over Yachty fifth. You know why? Because if you look at the last, 2 months, DeYoung has actually shown something where Yachty has not. Yachty started the year off so hot, and if you look at just, how much it has gone down, his last 30 games, he has, a 550 OPS.
Yeah.
That's really bad. You're going to put your it's a whole month of work, 550 OPS, and you're going to bat him fifth. That is, I mean this in the nicest way possible. That's a stupid decision.
No,
you can't justify to me that Mike Schultz is a good manager when that's the lineup he puts out there. Put anyone else there. I don't care. Anyone else has probably got a better 30-game slash than Yachty or Molina.
Yeah,
Move him down in the order. If you're actually serious about winning, stop doing that. It's infuriating.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. I don't care at all.
Well, and like I said, that's that whole thing where you look at this team and they're slow to react and slow to adjust.
It's the same thing with Bader. He had that month where he was literally the best hitter on your team, and you're batting him 8 or 7. Ride the hot hand. Oh man, he's hitting really good. You know what we should do right now? We should bat him leadoff while he's hot. Mm-hmm. And now he's come back down to earth. You could have utilized that for a full month, but you didn't. Mm-mm. You didn't do it. You pat him in the bottom half of the order still, and you're trying to say, well, we're trying to stretch it out a little bit. So stupid. One of the other reasons why I hate Yachty batting fifth is that literally anybody behind him is twice his speed. Why are you doing that?
Yeah, and the thing that you don't like, okay, we want to stretch it out, we want to mix it out. Well, that tells me that your team is like really focused on hitting home runs. Because if your team isn't hitting home runs, then you need to bunch, which they aren't, right? You need to bunch hits together. You need hit after hit after hit to get a run home. Okay. Don't stretch out your lineup then. Concentrate. I mean, if the bottom of your lineup is guaranteed outs, but you're going to put pressure on people by having the top of your lineup stacked up with good hitters, that's a better option than moving some of those guys around and trying to dilute the guys who can't hit. Because the guys that can't hit kill rallies. Case in point, when they had the bases loaded and nobody out, you got 1 sac fly from Tyler O'Neill and then 2 strikeouts. If you have somebody up there that's not, I think it was Yachty and DeYoung, which the way they're hitting right now, both of those 2 guys should be your last 2 hitters.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to start them, the only thing Yachty has going for him is that he's still batting around 250.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to get a slap single every once in a while from him. Yeah, you can argue that he's got kind of that clutch mentality.
Which he does. He hits in the
But that doesn't help when you're losing 6-0.
No. And if you construct your lineup right, you stay out of those situations where you need a clutch hit at the end of the game. You're going to have a lot less of those because you're going to be winning.
You're not going to need it. Yeah, you're not going to need it if the rest of your lineup is optimized in a way that after a few innings you've already got the starter out.
Yeah. So let's take this last 10.
This whole year, there's just so much that frustrates me. I'm glad I'm growing my hair out because, at a point this year, I thought I was going to pull it all out. So I've compromised, and I'm just I'm going to let it grow out as long as possible.
So, and I've had a long conversation with a couple people about this. They're like, well, if you think you're so good, throw in an application. Well, let me tell you what. Here's my big problem, right? I don't think that I'm a genius baseball manager. I don't. I mean, I don't think you think you're some sort of genius baseball manager. But we're looking at simple things that the genius baseball manager should be able to see. You and I see it. People on Twitter see it. There's all sorts of people, Cardinal fandom, that see it. There are people that are smarter at baseball than us that see it.
There's people outside of Cardinal fandom that see it.
FS1, when they did that one game, man, they're like, what is he doing? What is he doing? And so my thing is this. It's not that we think that we're that much smarter. It's we know that we're not, and we expect our manager to be better than that, and we cannot for the life of us figure out why he won't make good moves. He should be able to see those things.
That's usually what I'm telling people on Twitter. I'm like, no, I don't think you understand. I'm not a baseball manager. I work at a bank, and yet
I'm not that. But I see this
right now. Going, that's a really dumb move.
Yeah.
So if a bank teller can notice that, why isn't he? That's my problem.
Yeah.
If I put in an application for the Cardinals, first off, they're gonna laugh really hard and go, "Wow, you didn't even graduate from SWIC. Congratulations!" And they're gonna throw it in the garbage.
Look,
I'm never gonna manage a Major League Baseball team, but you know what I can do notice that stupid crap. And it is hilarious.
So here's the thing. Yeah, it's like, yeah, put in an app. All right. I mean, you say that like I wouldn't do that if there was an opportunity to apply for the St. Louis Cardinals management position. I will fill out that application and send it in. I am under no...
To those people, though, do you really think that if I go to the Cardinals website right now, under their job openings,
career opportunities,
that's going to be a position that I can
starting
apply
pitcher
for? Like, do you really think that that's a position that I can be like, hey, I'm going to send you my resume for that manager position? Like, no.
Post it. I'll fill it out. I don't care. I mean, I'm under no pretense that I'm going to get that job as manager of the St. Louis Cardinals. But that doesn't mean that I won't. To prove a point,
if I could just for a day,
I would fill that application
make things
out.
Real interesting. I had someone the other day. It was really funny, actually. Like, I wish I could remember this exact Twitter conversation, but basically, I was complaining. I was like I tweeted out, a good manager does not bat Yachty fifth.
No.
And somebody commented, "Oh, well, if you're so good, what's your lineup?" And I'm like, "All right, give me 5 minutes." Like, I'm like, with just using the guys that were listed in this lineup. Okay, hold on.
This is what I would do.
Just listed it down, and then because I think I still had Bader leading off. I still think that's a really promising spot for him is leading off. And he was like, "Oh yeah, bat your worst hitter." Lead off, and I'm like, I mean, just based on a statistical standpoint, he's not our worst hitter, but like, please go on.
No, that's unfortunate.
That's the funniest thing too is when people argue against statistics. I'm like, no, then you're just stupid. Like, I'm sorry, that's not how this works.
That's the thing that's kind of unfortunate for Harrison Bader because he did dig himself a hole where people just assume that he is a terrible hitter.
It's like, but he's kind of not. Like,
he's not. And you know what?
The last few weeks, he's brought himself down to where right now, if you look, he's kind of like right at league average.
Yeah.
But it's league average.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go off of this year and 2020, he's still above league average.
Yeah. No, he had a sneaky good year in 2020.
Like,
so
you're not going to convince me that he's just like they should just get rid of him.
Listen.
Case in point with Tyler O'Neill. Last year, he won a Gold Glove. Do you remember what his offensive numbers looked like last year? It was very bad. It was very, very, very bad. And what did he do this year? What's he continuing to do this year? Rake?
He's the best hitter on the team.
Oh, yeah. And, I mean, even looking at Bader's recent struggles, like, he's striking out a lot more, but his strikeout rate's still, like, 8 to 10% lower than what his career average is.
Yeah.
It's called steady improvements.
Yeah.
You're asking these guys to go from like league average to all-star, and that's what you want to be. It's like there are too many fans that expect every single guy on the roster to be an all-star, and that's due to the fact that at one point in the early 2000s we kind of did.
Yeah, we had a murderer.
And so everyone just expects every single player to be an all-star because that's what we're used to as a fan base. Fun fact, that doesn't really happen unless you're the Dodgers and have $200 million to spend.
There was a stretch with the Cardinals where Reggie Sanders was on the team, and there was a time when Reggie Sanders was the best hitter for the Cincinnati Reds, and he wasn't even top 3 for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah.
They had Reggie Sanders in left field and Larry Walker in right, Jim Edmonds in center, and then you had Scott Rowland and Albert Pujols.
It's just dumb.
And then you had a leadoff hitter. So
yeah, the Cardinals don't, and that's the problem. And that was one of the other things that this guy was talking about. It's like, oh, you're going to bet Bader leadoff, and I'm like, who else do we have? You're going to really keep rolling with Edmonds? He bats 250. Fun fact: if you look right this second, I think Harrison Bader and Tommy Edman have like the same batting average. Mm-hmm. Congratulations. Your argument is now squashed. What else you got?
And they're also the same in the sense that they both hit better against left-handed pitching.
What are we doing here? Like, oh, Edmonds really fast. Guess who else is also really fast? Bader. You know what Bader also does? Does more damage. That's why his OPS is still like almost 80 points higher than Edmund. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like, you cannot start complaining about me putting Bader leadoff when look at our other options.
So, looking forward to 2022, because I mean, it's going to take a miracle.
I've kind of given up too.
Yeah, it's going to take a miracle. I mean, whatever. If they make it into the playoffs, I'm going to be right there with them. I'm not giving up on this team. I'm just being realistic. It's a long shot for them to get in, and they haven't. Their past is predictive of their future, so they're going to continue to do kind of the same thing.
They have to go on like a 28-12 run.
Yeah.
I don't see it. Like, just similar to how I talked about a couple weeks ago. I'm like, they've got to win like 2 out of their every 3 moving forward. That's tough for any team to do, let alone this team who hasn't done it for the entire year.
Right. So
like, even their good months were kind of just okay.
Yeah. I think the Cardinals' offense could work. I think that they need a leadoff hitter. Right? So this is if I'm making adjustment to this team, I think that your weakest cog in your offense, the person that needs to go or needs to not start, and I know this is going to put a dagger in you. I think it's Paul DeYoung. You know,
I gave up. And I gave up a few days ago. Like, I don't disagree with you.
He hasn't been right since he got hit in the hand. Do you remember that? He just hasn't been
3
right
years
since
ago.
Yeah. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's his approach, if it's a mental thing, or anything like that.
It's not great. Like,
so
it seems like right now it's just like it's home run or strikeout.
Right. And
but it's not even a home. It's not even in the way where it's like Joey Gallo, where you expect like 40 to 45 home runs. Like, no, it's like maybe 30.
Yeah.
You can't have that right now. Like, if he was putting up like a home run every 10 at bats, you'd be like, all right, well,
he's like a discount.
At least when he's connecting, he's doing stuff. But there's a lot of times where like all he's doing is hitting slow dribblers, man.
He's like a discount Adam Dunn. I don't know if you remember him, but Adam Dunn hit right around 200 and then would hit like 40 bombs and then strike out a ton.
Yeah.
And that's like, when I say discount, it means that he doesn't really hit as many home runs.
Yeah,
but
like, it's not great. At least he's still solid defensively, but it's to a point where it's not really. It's hard to justify it. Like, if he was putting up Gold Glove level numbers, like, maybe you could be like, all right, but like, he really provides that for us. But like, at least with Sosa, if you're going to give him more starts, you're going to get some more hits. You're going to get him on base more.
Yeah,
and he at least provides similar defensive numbers. Like I'm with you. Like, it's hard to justify him being in the lineup.
So, and rather than go out and look for like a Trevor Story or somebody like that, I think what they need to try to find, because let's be honest, the team is not going to spend a ton of money. They're going to have a bunch of money come off the books, but then they're going to also make the excuse that we didn't.
So the
draw
problem
as
is
well.
that if there's a year for them to do it, it's this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that they like bare minimum they have to look at the shortstop position, because look at all the shortstops that are coming available. It's a very prime free agent market for shortstops. Like, they have to at least look at that position and know that there's a possibility to upgrade, even if it's to move DeYoung to second base and get a shortstop. Like, because I still think DeYoung is probably more beneficial than Edman in certain situations. Like, if you can make that work, you make that work. But then have to get it. I think you still have to get a starter too.
Yeah, you need to get one starter and maybe bring back one of the 3 between Happ, Lester, and Wainwright. Yeah. If Wainwright comes back, I don't think you got to worry about it. But you're going to need. So that's what I was saying. Maybe don't go after the AAA, triple 5-star talent at shortstop. Find you a guy who's a solid leadoff hitter with some good defense. Because if you think back to this team, the offense really clicks when the leadoff hitter's clicking. The offense was really good when Tommy Edman was having a lot of success at leadoff. I don't think Dylan Carlson's a leadoff hitter. I don't mean that in a mean way. I just don't think that he's that type of hitter. So I really like Dylan Carlson as the 2-hitter.
I'm about to say, I'm not willing to just say that quite yet, only just due to the fact that he's like a 22-year-old rookie. Like, in reality, I think he's exceeded a lot of our expectations. Like it's his first full season in the big leagues, and he's been our full starter, which is like fantastic. Like he could, in my opinion, it only goes up from here. It's just it's like, okay, how do you utilize him moving forward?
And I don't think that his skill set lends to leadoff. I mean, he could probably do a good job of it, but I think you're wasting him as a leadoff hitter.
Yeah, I think he's going to turn into more of your kind of 2, 3, 4, 5 guy.
Heart of the lineup kind of guy. Exactly. So you got to get somebody that can lead off, that can get on base and maybe swipe a base. Now they might think that they have that in Tommy Edman, but if they thought that they had that in Tommy Edman, they wouldn't have been batting Dylan Carlson at leadoff when Tommy Edman was struggling. He's just not consistent enough to do that. So I think that you go after a shortstop or a middle infielder of some sort, and you try to find that leadoff guy there. And then I think that you need to find another starting pitching, and then the rest of your offensive off-season moves have to go bullpen. Bullpen. Because I think that you're you have to plan for the contingency that maybe your starting pitching doesn't hold up, I mean
it didn't this year.
Yeah.
To a frightening degree, but
right. Miles Michaelis he's going to have those elbow issues. I think that's just something that the Cardinals are going to have to deal with. And then I
was fairly happy with his start though. Like he had 2 walks, but like somebody in one of our Twitter group chats that I'm in said that his command wasn't there. I'm like, yeah, but the difference between him having no command and others is that he only walked 2 through 6.
Yeah, when his command wasn't there, he still only walked 2 guys.
Like he still manages to put the ball over the plate and rely on his defense. Like, yeah, he only walked 2, whereas Gant walked like 6.
Yeah.
Like I'll take that every day. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Like when you look at next year, like what's the rotation look like? Like Flaherty, Wainwright,
if Wainwright's back.
Yeah, this is barring Wainwright not returning.
Right.
But then
so say Wainwright returns for next year. Yeah. Flaherty, Wainwright, Michaelis. But Hudson's going to be a question mark.
Yeah. That's why I'm like, you have to go out and get it. Like, and I'm not even a guy that's like, oh, you need to get like your another number 5. Like, no, go out and get a guy. Like, go out and get a dude. Like, I'm not saying that they're going to go out and get Scherzer or anything, but like, go out and really like spend the money on a really solid guy, because you're going to have guys like Michaelis, who this year and even going into next year is going to be a question mark due to injury. You've got Hudson that's going to be a question mark due to injury. You don't know if you're going to get Wainwright back. Is KK going to be coming back next year? I have no idea. Basically, I have no clue who your starting 5 is going to be.
Yeah.
Like, you've got a lot of guys where it's like, maybe we'll see. Hopefully they're not hurt again. Like,
yeah, and
I don't go into 2022 hoping.
and I don't. Yeah, I hope this works out is not a successful strategy. Right? You hope for the best and plan for the worst. And they kind of
they don't plan for the worst.
They didn't do that this year.
Never plan for the worst.
You know what? You could even point that out going all the way back to Oscar Tavares. And how long, whenever Oscar Tavares died in that car accident, how long did it take before they got some sort of normalcy in that outfield? Because you could argue that Oscar Tavares dying in that car accident so caught this team off guard that the ramifications of it are still being felt today.
Yeah, they never plan for the worst.
Right. So they brought in Hayward, which Hayward was a good stopgap, right? But then when Hayward left for the BBD in Chicago, they got Dexter Fowler. Like, they went out and overpaid for Dexter Fowler. And
underrated move this year, by the way, is trading him to the Angels.
Yeah, but they're still paying.
I appreciate that move.
Yeah.
I actually, good looking.
They're still paying for part of his salary right now.
Yeah, I don't care.
So my point, my point is that they're still paying for that, not having a contingency.
Oh yeah, plan. Like it's
yeah. So
but the problem is that they're not learning from it. Like, your entire rotation, other than Wainwright, has missed significant time.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
your solution was a bunch of blah. We'll see
Yeah.
what happens.
Well, and
And
the
then
thing
the guys you picked up to help are also kind of blah. We'll see what happens.
Well, and the thing to remember with Wainwright is even if he comes back next year, there's no guarantee that you're going to get out of him what you're getting out of him this year.
No, this year, like that's why I tweeted this thing out earlier. They are absolutely wasting a phenomenal year by Wainwright because there is no indication that could be what he does next year.
The thing that is
this,
crazy.
This could all be this illusion, and he could come back next year and have a 5 ERA. We don't know. But all I know is that this year he's been dealing, and they have done nothing to help.
The thing about it is, too, at the beginning of the season, he's the one that everybody was like, oh, he's done. He's over. Stick a fork in him. Well, he's
the only guy that's brought you consistent success.
He's been your best starter. And now you could argue Jack Flaherty is your best starter, but Jack Flaherty's been injured the majority of the season.
Yeah.
So that disqualifies him as far as I'm concerned. If you don't do it all year.
You could, most of Flaherty's numbers look better. However, I'll take the extra 15 starts that Wainwright's given you compared to the 15 starts we got otherwise from guys that replaced Flaherty, because that's how you really have to look at it. You can look at Flaherty's stats and then, okay, who used those rotation spots moving forward, because it wasn't what Flaherty did.
Adam Wainwright has absolutely 100% been the team's MVP this year. And if he comes back, I'm willing to take the risk to see what he's got for next year. I'm 100% on board with that because he's beat our expectations the past 2 years.
He's been a stud. Like, if he keeps it up, he could very well get significant Cy Young contention. He's second in the NL in innings. If you look at his strikeout rate compared to the years where he actually was in the conversation, it's right around there. Mm-hmm. Like, I looked at one of his, I don't remember what season it was, like, and I wish that I would have paid more attention to this earlier when I looked it up. But it was one of his, like, prime years, and, like, his hits per nine, walks per nine, strikeouts per nine, whip. It was all, like, identical, and I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Like, the only difference was his ERA was just, like, a touch higher, and his FIP was also a touch higher. But, like, most of the stats were, like, dead on. I'm like, this is insane.
Yeah.
He's about to be 40 years old, and he's teaching every single player in Major League Baseball that he's still got it.
Yeah. So like, but still, that makes him a question mark in the rotation next year. I mean, not as big a question mark, but he is a question mark because he's 40 years old. He'll be 41 next year.
Yeah, I mean, he's a question mark for a number of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
One, is he coming back? Two, what are we going to get?
Yeah. So who knows? So you've got to figure something out as far as that goes. Your starting pitching has to be. It's going to be maybe a couple starting pitchers that you have to sign in the offseason, not including Adam Wainwright. I don't think Adam Wainwright comes back to play for anybody but the Cardinals. I think if the Cardinals re-sign him, he'll play. But I mean,
it would be kind of weird. And, like, the difference between Wainwright and Yachty and the whole, like, oh, we need to bring him back, because, like, I understand that the Cardinals are looking to possibly extend Yachty, but my God, like, the guy, he's just not what he used to be. Like, defensively, he still got it in a lot of aspects, but, like, we've noticed it. Like, there's some laziness behind the plate that we're like, man, he usually picks that ball.
And
Why
I don't
isn't he
even,
doing that?
I ain't even gonna call it laziness. I'm just gonna call it run down. He's burnt up, right?
Yeah, but, like, as a hitter, he's clearly not. He's never been a great hitter, but he's had good seasons, and this year he doesn't.
Yeah.
Like,
the thing
it's very obvious that he's not there. But the difference between him and Wainwright is that Wainwright's kind of still doing it, like, really, really well.
Wainwright, I mean, when you consider what Wainwright has to do physically compared to what Yachty has to do physically, it's not as hard to pitch as it is to catch. Catching is hard on you, and then the other part of it is. You don't pitch every day. You pitch every fifth day. And so, like, as great a shape as Yachty is in, he's got to know that Father Time is undefeated, and he should just, it's okay to take a couple games off and then come back. That's my thing. If you want to bring him back, fine, but he has to be of the mindset that I cannot catch all of the games because I'm basically ineffectual by the last month of the season. I'm an ineffective player.
And and that's why I said, because I tweeted earlier today, because again, we've talked about this before, but my goodness, the absolute disrespect towards Andrew Kisner and this organization is unreal to me. They made the move to move Kelly so that Kelly could have an opportunity, and yet Kisner's just sitting in the major league level, not being able to do anything. He can't go down to the minors and get work and stay sharp. He's just sitting there, and I'm like, why on earth did the Cardinals not sign a veteran catcher to at least back up Yachty? If they're not going to give Kisner legitimate time, I feel so bad for this kid because they're probably and we talked because we had that conversation earlier today with Dylan on there, or the Dylan Dinger account, whatever. I don't remember his name. But we talked to him a little bit about it's he's probably going to get dealt in the offseason, but this has got to be the all-time low as far as where his value is.
Yeah.
Why are you trading him now?
Yeah.
Why not trade him before when he had more value if you actually think Herrera is the future and Yachty still has a couple years left? It's stupid. I hate it so much. And if you weren't thinking that before, why are you suddenly now changing your tune on that?
It's a great question.
It doesn't make sense. Granted, I'm not behind the scenes. I don't know any of this, but it feels like you got rid of Kelly because you're all right, we got Andrew Kisner. And then all of a sudden, that's switched, and now it's we stopped Kisner, but we're really excited about this Herrera kid. Then why keep Kisner? Why keep him at the major league level just to be that, to be the backup? Why do you have that respect for Kelly to at least give him another opportunity somewhere else and not get that for Kisner?
Yeah, and if
Unless
that's
other
the case,
teams just don't value him the same way. But
if Herrera's your guy and you're looking at Yachty for next year, and maybe they're not looking at Yachty for next year, who knows? Why didn't you deal Kisner and get somebody that could maybe help the team at the trade deadline?
They had Wieters to back up Yachty. They at least up until this season were cool with the idea of still giving Kisner time in the minors. So why this year have you suddenly changed your tune to where now he's just going to be your backup and he's not going to get pretty much any significant time? Because
I suspect Wieters didn't want to come back to be the backup to Yachty.
Wieters didn't do anything.
No, I think he's I'm not. If I'm not going to play, I'd rather just not have to show up to the ballpark every day. But I don't have anything to back that up or justify that with. It's just thinking. So.
Yeah, we went a little over time today.
Yeah, we went a little over. But again, I think that looking toward 2022 is something, and maybe we'll just dive into that real good next week or the next show. And we'll look at that because that is something I think it's important that we need to look at. And let's go crazy. What I think we should do is if you guys at home want to play along, I think one of the things that would be fun is make your dream lineup for next year. If you were in charge of the team and you could pull it off, make your trades.
But you got to be realistic.
Be realistic.
Trades. If you got to make trades, you can't be we're trading Harrison Bader for Mike Trout. Shut.
Right. Yeah, nobody's going to take
do
that
something
trade.
And try to justify that.
It's not you got to do a major league show, convince the GM, trade, not an MLB the show, force this trade.
Right.
So, but anyway, work your lineups and then work a lineup of what you think it will be come next year. And see how close we can get, because I think that might be a fun game to play.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I might try to come up with a couple of dream moves and whatnot and bring that to the table next week.
Yeah, I really, to me, I think the biggest move that they'll make in the offseason is addressing the shortstop, and I don't know who that will be. Trevor Story would be cool to have on this team, but I think it might be a mistake.
He's got the prior relationship with Nolan that could be fun to at least explore.
Yeah.
But it's not like he's having an all-star campaign this year either.
But if Trevor Story comes, then you've still got to find you a leadoff hitter. So
Yeah, desperately.
yeah, so that's like, I know you pushed Andrelton Simmons for a long time, but he's had an off year too.
Yeah, I mean, he was never really your prototypical, like, he was more known for just absolute gold glove defense. He had a couple solid offensive years where he was batting about 280, but for the most part, he's been a fairly below average hitter. So yeah, I wouldn't justify that move either.
You know what we'll do?
At least not now.
Let's do it like this. If you want to play along with us, do your 2 lineups and then post them to our Facebook page. Post them on our Facebook page, and then we'll talk about them in our next show. All right?
Cool.
Aaron, you got anything else you want to add before we wrap this up?
No, I think I'm good. I mean, me and Brad, like we said, we went to the game last week, and it was like the one game that they won. So we are accepting donations to visit more games as the usual suspects because, hey, they're officially undefeated when we go. So
yeah,
if you guys really want to ride that magic and go for the mojo, we do accept PayPal or Venmo. You can send us some donations, and we'll get out to more games. And as long as they keep winning, I mean, hey, like, I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious.
A little stitious.
So,
hey,
like, if we can make that, if we can keep that rolling, like, if you guys want to add extra on there for like concessions, so we can enjoy ourselves, like, we'll appreciate that too. But just DM us, and I can get you the payment info.
It's empirical thinking. You don't have to try to make sense of why it works. You just have to know that whenever we go to the games, they win.
Yeah, I mean, they're 1-0. I mean, it's
and if you're like Brad, you're crazy. No, I'm not. That's the exact same type of thinking that your car insurance company does to determine your rates. We don't know why it is, but it is, and therefore we're going to charge you this much. Same thing goes. We don't know why it is they're undefeated when we go, but they are. So.
Yeah, and they scored like 9 runs that game. Tyler O'Neill hit a home run. Newbar hit a home run. Like, that's a lot of things that we can help to keep we can keep replicating that.
Yeah. All right, guys. We appreciate each and every one of you. Again, like, if you haven't followed us, follow us on the socials. Facebook.com/Mutual Suspects. That's where you can post your lineup. You can also follow us on Twitter @Mutual_Suspects. You can follow Aaron @AaronMSTL. I feel like I could put these up, huh?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I made the banners. I might as well use them. This is me @RangeBrad on Twitter. This is Aaron @AaronMSTL. The @Mutual_Suspects for the podcast, and then this is our Facebook, Mutual Suspects, and then there's YouTube. You can just search Mutual Suspects, type the whole thing out. You'll find us. It'll pop up. It'll be a picture of the Stan Musial statue with the Mutual Suspects name on it. And you guys can follow us, like, and subscribe, and all that other fun stuff. Yeah, that's our show. So thank you guys for joining us, and we'll check you guys out or talk to you awesome people next time. See you later, guys.
Later.
Oh, hey, one more thing before we go. If you guys have any ideas for any guests on the show, share those to our Facebook page or tweet at us. Let us know. It's like, hey, try to get this person. Be realistic. You know, I mean, we did have Miles Michaelis on once. We shoot our shot all the time. People are pretty good at shooting us down.
Jared Weaver said no.
Jared Weaver said no, but we get responses.
We've gotten like 2 responses. One
Jared
yes,
Weaver
one
said no, and
he only does stuff with Barstool.
Yeah, and then Derek Gould was busy. So
yeah, Derek Gould was busy, but he appreciated the name game.
Yeah, he said the name game was strong. All right, so yeah, shoot us some people, and then if we do ask those people on Twitter, jump on and be like, yeah, because if they see that there's interest from
we need
you guys,
the support. We need people to have our backs in that case. Yeah. We can't have people just replying back no.
Yeah, if you guys,
we got our own fans that just reply back nah.
Yeah, we get told no by a lot of people all the time. So anyway, yeah, Ray Langford would be an awesome guest. Darren just suggested that.
That would be cool.
And I tell you what, if we could get him on, and I think one other person we might be able to get on would be Ray King. You remember him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He was traded for Adam Wainwright. No. He came over in the Adam Wainwright deal. I forget who we sent to Atlanta. Anyway. All right, guys, have a great one. We'll talk to you guys next time.
Later, guys.
Later.